shield effects on.
Xerxes your head! Xerxes sends his sheep to slaughter. Come, Persian! I will bring Xerxes your head, you insolent Spartan! Come and get it! Your bloodline ends today, Spartan! I'll get drunk on your blood as the crows feed on your eyes! You will fly, and you will fail! Xerxes is the king of kings! All will bow before him after I crush you! Come! Enough talk! Time to die! My son is more of a warrior than you! Once I'm done with you, king, all of Sparta's sons will be slaves for Xerxes! Sparta's sons would rather die! That can be arranged! Not so tough without your army to protect you! Then why are you bleeding so much?
Why do you not dodge? Oh! Hit him.
Match for a Spartan!
Yeah, hit him with a kick. So I didn't really pay attention when I first played this the first time. So we kind of won this war, or fucking what?
We are betrayed, my king. Xerxes knows of the path behind the mountain. They're coming.
Okay.
By dawn, we will be completely surrounded.
We are Spartans. When are we not?
Spartans. That word will mean nothing when Xerxes wipes your bloodline from the face of you.
Oh, just rammed a fucking spear through his mouth out his head.
Today was a day the Persians will never forget. Tomorrow is a day the world will remember.
Finally. Wow, this is big, Layla. Did you really think it's the spear?
This is the one. The book was almost right on top of it. I've never been so lucky in my life. Okay, let's start her up.
Are you sure we can trust this thing? I mean, the book could be...
Just started, Victoria.
You're the boss. I'll prep it for you.
Okay, so, worth noting, I've made some changes since you were last in here.
There's no keeping up with the tech industry these days.
I can crank up the simulation to maximum sensory synchronization, if you're up for it.
Let's take this one step at a time.
Understood. If you're looking for something a little more intense, I can always adjust the settings for you later. This bit will let me know how much information will be fed to you during your time in the Animus.
You don't need to worry about me. I've got this.
A little autonomy never killed anyone. At least, I don't think so. Just let me know if you need assistance, and I can always add the helpers back in. Listen, Layla, before you go off,
If this book is right, this spear, this story, it will change everything.
you're putting a lot of faith in a fairly unreliable source. Historian or not, this guy wrote about magical objects and the will of the gods.
He's not Homer. Herodotus was the first recorded historian, so there's a lot more truth in that text than you think. I mean, what better way is there of finding Isu artifacts than by trusting in the guy who claimed to meet an actual descendant?
I know, but
I need you to trust me. You could be right. This spear, this book, it could all be crap. But something tells me it isn't, and I'm certainly not gonna let Abstergo find out first.
you're right. We haven't got much to lose anyway. There's just one small problem.
What is it?
This manuscript is in rough condition, to say the least. The DNA found on the spear has identified 2 different individuals. You're going to have to pick which strand of DNA to pursue. The choice is yours.
Is that the train home?
What?
Is he down the trainers or something?
No.
No.
I don't know. It was just a guy who has two X's.
Hmm.
Yo, what's going on, people? It's your boy Honcho, back here again with another video. So recently I've been mentioning that I would be highlighting more stories surrounding cases of child sexual abuse and pedophilia because I feel like these stories need to get shared. I feel personally we're in a culture now where it does seem as if media corporations are normalizing pedophilia, and we need to be more vigilant in order to stop this from happening. I mean, there's literally protests that have been happening in the streets of the UK, which is going underreported, and we all know why that would be. Also, there was a movie that came out on Netflix titled Cuties, which a lot of you would have heard of before, but if you haven't for whatever reason, from reviews that I've seen covering it, it's pretty much just normalising pedophilia, and again, you can see these big corporations attempting to normalise it. Of course, Netflix shouldn't have the whole blame, there is other parties involved, but seeing as they're the company screening this, they need to take responsibility to stop normalising this kind of thing. Also, over here on the channel, we've seen a BBC News reporter jailed for 40 separate sexual offences against boys and men. Now, if you haven't seen that video, I went on a little rant about how the man who pleaded guilty to these 40 offences was allowed to be out on bail, but what I didn't tell you was the fact that he himself had to ask the court if he was able to be put on remand. Do you understand how much of a joke that really is? Remand, for anyone who doesn't know, is where you're temporarily put in jail until your trial or sentencing date. So the fact that he's had to ask the court to be put on remand just shows you how much of a joke our legal system really is. So this next story we're about to get into isn't quite as clear as you think it might be, but what was alleged by the attacker in this case was a case of a man getting revenge on another man who had sexually abused him in the years prior. At 2:30 AM on the 9th of January 2020, emergency services were called to a scrapyard in Newton Poppleford in Devon to reports of a caravan fire and welfare of a man. Superintendent Matt Lawler will explain what happened next upon arrival of emergency services and the short aftermath.
Investigations for the investigation team, supported by an extensive range of specialists who've been working in specific areas. The 30-year-old man was arrested in Oxford this morning on suspicion of works in relation to his custody industry. At this time, there are people making no realised evidence towards speculation given the works of early sources of evidence. We do know that this could cause understandable concern for the otherwise peaceful villages of Newton Poppleford and Portsmouth. Local residents always see buildings in place where we can see them detail forensic work, or the water into a weekend. Local residents will see peaceful neighbours here until Newton Poppleford today, speaking to residents, businesses and the local school to provide reassurance and support. We will encourage residents to contact local officers.
The man who they arrested a short while later was a man by the name of Lewis Finch, and police believed that he murdered 47-year-old Jeffrey Pierce. One day later, he would go on to be charged with the murder. He would go on to plead not guilty to the charges brought against him, and so a trial was to go ahead in September. On a quick side note, I try not to go through the small court hearings before the trial, but I thought it was interesting to point out that at his first court hearing on the 11th of January 2020, Lewis refused to leave his cell because he claimed that he was too tired, so he never showed up to court. Later on though, Lewis would go on to claim that his responsibility was diminished by a psychiatric disorder, or he experienced a sudden loss of control linked to his experience of childhood abuse, and therefore would go on to plead not guilty to the murder charge, but would go on to admit manslaughter. The prosecution didn't accept his guilty plea, and so the trial was to still go ahead. So again, the trial was to take place in September, and here Sean Brunton QC prosecuting told the court how Lewis took a taxi in the early hours of the morning to the Newton Poppleford scrapyard where Jeffrey Pierce was living in a quote-unquote pretty grim caravan on family land. There, it was said that Lewis hit Jeffrey 3 times over the head with what is thought to be a claw hammer, then used a cable tie to choke him until Jeffrey turned blue in the face, where he would eventually die. According to the post-mortem, it found that Jeffrey had been struck on the head, causing fractures the skull and eye socket, and before he died, he was garroted with a thick piece of plastic cable tie. And then, to cover his tracks, the prosecution said that Lewis set fire to the caravan and incinerated the body of Jeffrey, who was still inside. It was heard that before lighting the fire, Lewis used Jeffrey's phone to make a call to his sister Ronnie Smith, who lived in Torquay. He rang her because he wanted a lift to Exmouth. The court was told that Jeffrey was heard begging for help in the background, screaming, "Help me, help me," and Lewis is heard telling his sister he's not dead yet, but he's going to be. When Lewis ended the call, it was his own sister who had raised the alarm to emergency services. Leaving the caravan burning, Lewis then walked 8 miles from Newton Poppleford to his friend Lee Jones's house on Cheshire Road in Exmouth. The prosecution said Lewis made sure of 2 things: that Jeffrey Pierce was well and truly dead, and the best way of covering his tracks was to set fire to the scene of the crime. In regards to the caravan, it was heard that it was quote-unquote effectively completely destroyed by the blaze. A short while later, police would turn up at Lee Jones's house, where he would go on to be arrested. The prosecution said that Lewis made a no-comment interview to police for 30 hours and refused to let them take samples of blood or urine. While in custody, he was asked by an officer if he'd been treated okay, and replied, "Of course, everyone loves me. I've done them a favour, I've killed a paedophile." The prosecution said that since his initial police interviews, Lewis would go on to say that Jeffrey had been his babysitter as a child, and would also give 2 different accounts of what happened that early morning. In the first account, he said that he went to the caravan hoping to get Jeffrey to confess to abusing him as a child and secretly recording it. He claimed Jeffrey had tried to stop him leaving or calling the police and had thrown him across the caravan. He said he then picked up a stick and hit him in self-defense before starting the fire using a can of deodorant and accelerant. The prosecution told the jury this account was fabricated and obviously untrue because Lewis had no means of recording the conversation and had not mentioned using a cable tie in the attack. He went on to say that Lewis was now giving a different account, saying that he went to the caravan and was given some kind of drug, which led him to wake up at 2 AM to find Mr. Pierce masturbating. He said that this triggered memories of childhood abuse, which caused him to lose control, and that Jeffrey had laughed at him and attempted to attack him with a frying pan. The prosecution said that both versions were fabricated, and the second one was constructed to try and fit the facts of the case, adding just getting angry or drunk or stoned and ending up killing someone out of rage or revenge or retribution is not a loss of control or diminished responsibility. We say he attacked Mr. Pierce deliberately, whether as punishment or in a temper or perhaps in an argument over money or drugs. He knew what he was doing and he knew it was wrong. He persisted in the killing over a period of time, and when he had Mr. Pierce at his mercy, he just tightened the cable tie around his throat. He was sufficiently in control to light a fire to the caravan to hide evidence and to phone his sister to ask for a lift, and then finished him off after the call. The prosecution would go on to tell the jury that both men were drug takers, and there was traces of amphetamines found in Jeffrey's body, suggesting that drugs may have been a real reason for Lewis to visit the caravan site and commit the murder. At a further court date, Lewis would give evidence in court, and he would go on to explain his events, where he would go on to say that he paid a friend from Exmouth to Turkey to buy drugs. They arrived back in Exmouth at around 11 p.m, then Lewis spent time at his girlfriend's home. From there, Lewis arrived at the scrapyard site, and here it was said that they drank vodka, smoked a large amount of crack cocaine, and it was also said that Lewis took a methadone painkiller by the name of Oromorph, which was prescribed to Jeffrey's dead dog when it had bowel cancer. Lewis was then said to have passed out on the floor on a mattress, and allegedly when he woke up, he had been masturbating, and then you guys know what happens next. Given evidence in court, Lewis told the jury that Jeffrey had been secretly abusing him since the age of 11. He said that Jeffrey had also gave him drugs, food, and let him drive cars and motorbikes. Lewis would go on to say that he killed Jeffrey in self-defense because Jeffrey had been laughing at Lewis because he was uncomfortable at hearing Jeffrey touching himself. He would then go on to explain his version of the attack to the court, and he said that Jeffrey had came at him with a saucepan, so he hit him 3 times over the head with an old wooden pickaxe handle that he found inside the caravan, adding he eventually died when he pressed the wooden pickaxe handle against Jeffrey's throat. Lewis then told the court that he placed an already threaded cable tie over Jeffrey's head, which automatically tightened as the struggle ensued. He was going to say that he wanted to raise the so with Jeffrey's body still inside the caravan dead at this point, he set fire to
Guy jumps in the ocean thinking it's a basking shark, and then it's like, no.
Left around Jeffrey's neck. Lewis would go on to say that Jeffrey, for years upon years, had taken advantage of him, so he just lost it. He said he wasn't in control, he just lost it and hit him with the pickaxe handle. He went on to say, it wasn't me, what was going through my head. I don't think I was in a fit state to control what I was doing. Prosecution would go on to say that Lewis's account was totally made up. When asked by the prosecution why he failed to tell police what really happened that night, Lewis would go on to say, I can't remember what happened and how it happened. He said he initially panicked when questioned, adding, at the time, I was in a state of shock. At the police station, I felt the pressure to come up with something. All I kept thinking about was what had happened when I was a child, and I just didn't really want to talk about it. At a later court date, it was said that Lewis was suffering from complex PTSD and a personality disorder, both which may cause difficulty regulating emotions. Dr. Tim Amos was called on behalf of the defense, and he went on to say that Lewis suffered from a stress disorder, probably complex PTSD, and potentially alcohol dependence syndrome. He said that Lewis had told him he had nightmares about being abused and pinned down by Jeffrey. Dr. John Sanford was called on behalf of the prosecution, and he diagnosed Lewis with mild to moderate cluster B personality disorder, which he said present as a difficulty in regulating emotions. He said that Lewis's actions directly after attacking Jeffrey showed that Lewis remained in control and was thinking and acting rationally. And then on the 8th of October 2020, Lewis was found guilty of the murder of Jeffrey Pierce, and then yesterday on the 14th of October 2020, he was jailed to life with a minimum term of 22 years in jail. So as we can see, this case isn't as clear as what it's made out to be. Of course, on the one hand, Lewis is saying that he was sexually abused as a child and this was the last straw, and on the other hand, prosecution would go on to say that this was over drugs. We won't truly know what really happened on that night, but according to the court of law, they've sentenced him to life in prison because they think that this was calculated and he was aware of what he was doing, so the jury didn't necessarily believe what he was saying about himself being sexually abused. But what do you guys think about this one? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comment section below. Give the video a little like, and if you want the latest drill, street and music news out of the UK, be sure to subscribe and the notification bell. Big boy, Honcho, and I'm out.
Shit. This guy doing some racking or some shit at a warehouse, and he's managed to pop some of the racking out, and it's flew out and smashed him in the head.
Where we've seen 2 teenagers attempt to decapitate an innocent man after getting into a confrontation with him. And around this time, we also covered the story where a man murdered his own mother for financial gain. But it seems as if these 2 stories have combined with this next film.
Done with it tonight, I think.
News has come out that a man
might have a go in a bit.
Of murdering his mother, and then after murdering her, he chopped her.
Oh, that was a fucking killer. I'm trying to send you this one.
December 2019, police were called to a property.
That's why I don't drive forklifts and that, man, because I know I do some shit like that, stone like.
Claimed that around 12 emergency vehicles arrived, included on police, police, and this would be because
Really? You know when like even if you're tired, you're not paying attention like.
Inside deceased. Originally 83-year-old Colin Tarver, Angela's husband.
Yeah, working night shift, man. I'd do some bullshit.
Connection with the murder, but Colin was released while Philip had been detained under the Section 2 of the Mental Health Act. At some point later, police would go on to charge Philip Tarver with his mother's murder and a further charge of making threats to kill towards his father. After it was determined that he was fit to plead, he would go on to plead not guilty until the trial was to go ahead, which has just recently been wrapped up today. In court, Alexandra Healy, prosecuting, said the defendant, Philip Tarver, was 46 years old. He was living at Julian Close in Woking, together with his father, Colin Tarver, who was then 83 years old at the time, and his mother, Audrey Angela Tarver, who everyone knew as Angela, and she was 86 years old. In regards to the night before the murder, the prosecution said at around 9:30 p.m, Philip indicated that he wanted to go and buy some alcohol, and his father, in due course, then gave him around £15. And as this was getting explained,
yeah, I think so. Holland and Barrett.
which shows that he buying some of the vodka and the box of Heineken. It was said that when he came back to the house, his father saw him opening up the bottle of vodka and drink it, and everything seemed pretty normal. It was also said that he'd been taking cocaine throughout the night, but Philip later on would go on to deny this. Colin was the first one to go to bed at around 11 p.m, and then Angela joined him a bit later using the stair lift. In the morning, when Colin woke up, the prosecution explained that he saw his son dressed up like a woman. The prosecution added, the defendant came downstairs wearing a female nightie, and while he normally wore men's clothes, sometimes he wore female clothes. During the morning after heavy drinking, it was heard that Philip then began to unplug wires in a separate room, and then he started to claim that the beer he'd been drinking the night before had been poisoned. Giving evidence in court, Colin would explain what happened next. He said that he encountered his son, of course, wearing a female nightie before violence erupted, and then he'd gone into the spare bedroom and was lying on the bed. He went on to explain he went up to the spare room to ask him what he was doing because, of course, he pulled the cables out, and to this he jumped off the bed and angrily shouted at him, "Go and die," before pushing him out of the room and slamming the door. Colin then stepped back in the room to talk to him, and to this, Philip leapt up off the bed, so he decided to go back downstairs into the kitchen. Angela at this time was sitting at the table with a cup of tea, and she was sitting on a chair with her back to the sink because the pair normally watched Charlie, which was on at around 12:15 p.m, but of course the wires had been disconnected from the TV, so Colin made his way into the other room to plug the wires back in. As he was doing this, he then heard a woman scream. I then asked her what I was doing, went across the lounge towards the dining room. Once I was in the dining room, I could see the chair Angela was sitting on in the kitchen had gone over, and all I could see were her legs resting on the chair. They weren't moving, they were motionless, and she was on her back. Philip was standing in the hall, noticed he was holding the sword and it was covered in blood, and then he went on to say in that split second he thought he was going to kill him, and then went on to explain that his eyes were yellow and bulging, and then said that he was going to kill him, and then when he asked why, Colin would go on to say that Philip said because he'd been commanded by the master or commander or something like that. It just didn't really make any sense. He went on to say, I didn't say anything or really do anything, I just struggled with him and of course took the sword off him. I grabbed hold of the telephone and I said, go and see your mother because obviously she was injured. And he said, why? And I said, because I said so. And then I ran down to the end of the drive and dialed 999, and then the emergency services arrived 11 minutes later. While emergency services were on the way to the address, Philip would then begin to hack at his mother's neck, eventually decapitating her, and then he placed her head into a freezer which was located in the kitchen, and he also amputated her left ring finger, which he placed into a kettle. The prosecution would describe this as Philip's attempt at a cleanup operation. It was heard when police arrived, he came out of the house holding a small Union Jack flag saying, I surrender, adding, I'm sorry for killing her, fucking hell, I must repent for my sins. It was heard that Philip Tarver made a series of quote-unquote significant comments and was said to have ranted about making sure his mother was dead while in police custody. In regards to the comments the prosecution was going to say, he said, she's in the freezer, she's in bits. At one point, he was also said to have been blinking repeatedly and said, got a patch over my left eye, the fuck is being possessed. He also went on to say, I need a drink, holy water of course, whiskey, just Irish whiskey. He also went on to say, I had a moment of madness. He also went on to describe struggling with his sexuality since the age of 5 when he dressed in women's clothing, but his father didn't mind. He also described his mother sitting at the kitchen table and looking half dead, so he said he wanted to put her out of misery. He said he stabbed her in the heart and he had to make sure that she was dead, and then he said it was all a blur and hazy, and he was trying to process what had happened. He said his dad said, "Oh no, you're dressed like that again." He said his dad was used to seeing him dressed in women's clothing. He also went on to say he saw his mum still in the kitchen staring blankly at a wall, not looking at it. She didn't acknowledge him, so he got a knife. He pushed her onto the floor and stabbed her in the heart. He then said he cut her head off with a knife to make sure that she was dead. He said he was very confused at the time and still doesn't know what happened. And at one point he was also described as shaking with his head in his hand and sobbing, saying, "What have I done?" Asked by police why he put her head in the freezer, Philip allegedly replied, "I couldn't bear to look at her, so I had to get her head away from me." Even though he had pretty much already confessed to killing his mother, Philip would bizarrely go on to claim his father, ultimately saying that he would inherit his wife's fortune when she died, and this was the motive for his father killing her, all while pleading that he was innocent, with the angry tension between the pair stemming from Colin not approving of his son dressing in female clothes and him wanting to become a female. So Colin would go on to deny that he knew the value of the estate that his wife owned, but the defence put forward that Colin had lost out on thousands due to a Ponzi diamond scheme, hinting that this could have been the motive for the murder, to recoup the money that he lost out on that Ponzi scheme. It was also heard that Colin didn't approve of his son dressing in female clothes, but denied being aggressive towards him about it and stuck to his story about being angry about Philip unplugging cables because they wanted to watch Bargain. Referring to his arrest, Philip claimed that he did not recall what he said to police and denied admitting that he murdered his mother. He said the only recollection he had was opening the door thinking, "Oh God, the police are here, I'm safe."
Fucking hell. This happened in Britain. Man decapitates his mother in cocaine rage and then puts head in freezer.
So after the prosecution proposed Philip's claims that his father was the murderer, the jury, after 12 hours of deliberation, found him guilty of murder.
This was in the UK, this was.
Philip's father. It was heard that as the verdict was getting read out, Colin had started to cry and started to shake his head. So of course, the trial has just wrapped up. This wasn't the sentencing date, but I will keep you guys posted on the sentencing when it happens. I'll more than likely put a community tab post up, and if you guys haven't followed me on Instagram, it's 8poncho on there, by the way. I'll post his sentencing more than likely on my Instagram as well. Now, what I didn't actually tell you guys was that Angela had actually suffered from a stroke way back in the 90s, and the effects from the stroke were that bad that up until obviously she was killed, the way that she would communicate with people is actually writing on a notepad, and she couldn't even really speak to people. So this is how weak this woman was. So it really just goes to show you that when people abuse substances like cocaine and alcohol, and especially when they mix it together, it makes people act erratic and act out of character and end up doing crazy things like decapitating your own mother. The person who literally brought you into the world, you feel like you can go and stab her in the heart for one, and then go to chop her head off, is just absolutely baffling to me. I don't understand how someone could even be put in a mindset like that, but I guess that's what these kind of drugs do to people. But I do want to take this time out just to say rest in peace to Angela, because right now Colin has lost his son to jail and he's lost his wife in such a horrific incident which he had to witness, so I can't really imagine what he's going through right now. But I do want to send my condolences out to him and their family as well. But let me know what you guys think of this in the comment section below. Give the video a little like, and if you want the latest drill, street and music news out of the UK, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your boy Poncho, and I'm out.
With our new TSP Spend and Save account, every time you spend on this, or this, we'll help round up the pennies so you can keep saving for the things you love. Like this, that, or even this.
Constantly playing with my fucking
our new Spend and Save
picture
account.
settings
It's
and
like
shit.
more.
With a potential title fight on the line, top featherweights Brian Ortega and Korean Zombie clash this Saturday in the main event at UFC Fight Island 6. And you can watch the entire event live by signing up for ESPN Plus for just $5.99 per month or $49.99 for 1 full year. Don't wait. $5.99 per month or $49.99 for 1 full year. Don't wait. Click on the link in the description and sign up for ESPN Plus today.
There's going to be a massive amount of pressure on TJ Dillashaw, but TJ will live up to that pressure. He's very good. Listen, love him, hate him, like him, dislike him, whatever you feel about the guy, you can't deny the skills that the man has. He's a tremendous wrestler. He's got excellent jiu-jitsu. His striking is absolutely fantastic. Great footwork and a hell of an athlete. Will he still be the hell of an athlete that he was before? Oh, that'll be the question. Remember, I was his coach on The Ultimate Fighter 2011, and I said right then and there, and I said it to him, I said, you're going to be fucking champion of the world one day, because that's how good he is, you know. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that one plays out.
Costa getting so upset because he saw Stylebender dead to him, you know.
I saw that.
I'm like, dude, you were the one talking so much, and then he gets you at the end, and now you're mad, you know, because he embarrassed you. Like, come on, man, throw some balls. You know what I'm saying? Like, man up to that. It is what it is. You know, you can't demand a rematch after that type of performance either. It's not smart. That is not going to sell. That's for sure.
Jared. Are you aware? You keep saying that he wants to fight Jared. In fact, he actually said that he thinks Jared will destroy you.
Yeah.
And that he'll fight Jared next. I mean, did you make anything like why do you think he believes that Jared will just destroy you?
I think there are a lot of people that think that. You know, and who knows? Maybe he does. But you know, I'm not going to take it lying down. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna give him everything I have. So we'll see about that. And as for why he's lining up Jared, I think that's stylistically a better fight for him. You know, he's trying to move the tables in his favour. But maybe it's what he says is true. You know, maybe he just likes it better.
Do you like open worlds, escaping to somewhere new, adventure, and stories you'll never forget? Keep watching. Welcome, heroes, to the adventure of a lifetime. Before long, your ears will be ringing with the clash of swords, and your eyebrows will be singed by explosive fireballs. But first, there's something you need to know. You might have heard of Dungeons and Dragons, and always wondered if it was for you. And I'm here to tell you that it absolutely is. Dungeons and Dragons is a storytelling game played with friends, where you decide what happens next in a fantasy world of swords and sorcery.
Maybe it's what he said is true. You know, maybe he just likes it better.
My worst injury within a fight, probably, like structurally, probably my labor when I tore it against Daniel. Do nothing with the labor, but it didn't hurt as bad. I had torn one before, so I know how to kind of throw straight punches, and I can do it with other hands. With the last, the red, man, it was instant pain. I mean, like, didn't really relax. It just kept increasing and intensifying. So that's probably the most sharp, quickest pain I've had ever in a fight. Worst injury outside of fight, probably my shoulder or my ACL. I had a lot of surgery. Broke my foot, broke my wrist, broke all my fingers, tore my ACL, tore both of my ligaments. Broke my foot, had to have pins, regrowth, structure, broke my hand, shattered my CMC ligament when I fought CMC, tore my ligament, William Maya broke my foot against Kelvin Gastelum. Had a contusion on my leg before and during the Jeff Burns fight. What else did I get? A couple cuts here and there. And cut rib, caught me some bone. But to be honest, for our career and most of the injuries taking place in the practice room, I'm blessed, so I can't complain. I'm blessed, man.
7 or 8 years ago, I was on my friend's rooftop in Manhattan watching him. I think he was fighting Chael, and I was like, man, I would love to, train with that guy. I was saying train with that guy. I didn't say fight that guy. And of course, as time went on, I was like, all right, it'll be a good opportunity to go up against one of the greats. And plus, they were comparing me to him, so
it's true.
And fast forward, the opportunity came, and it didn't happen because 3 days prior, you have to have a gallbladder surgery.
Yeah. Right.
So I was like, all right. And then I just kind of kept going, and the universe somehow just kept connecting us. I would see him in some of my videos if I'm fighting.
all in this game. Except
Parliament does it all, really.
yeah, it's just like, am I actually hearing her lines?
Yeah. Laziness.
I mean, it's a slang character.
She'll help us find what we're looking for. I have a good feeling about this.
All right, boss. We're finally good to go. 431 BCE, here we come.
The start of the Peloponnesian War.
Good luck in there. No pressure or anything, but we're all depending on you.
Abstergo isn't gonna win this time. The book says it's true and we do actually find the artifact. The assassins will finally have a chance to rise again.
You could do it.
Oh, and Victoria? Read the book. It holds the secrets I won't be able to find on my own when I'm in there.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Fucking hell, she's got some biceps, man. Fuck me. Get a hand job off her, she yank your fucking dick off.
Get down here.
Fucking hell.
Cyclops got a message for you.
She's fit.
Tell your boss he can stick it.
That's for last week.
Oh, he just punched me.
Laka.
The Cyclops said you like to act tough, so act tough!
Get a little closer, and I will.
You should know by now. The Cyclops always pays his debts.
Last week? This shit happens every week. I can't keep doing this. Nah. Thanks for the warning. Ugh.
What happened to you?
It's nothing, Phoebe. All taken care of now.
The Cyclops again, huh?
I swear it's the same body, but they just changed the head. I don't know, her arms look fucking huge.
Of course. Help yourself.
And her legs and that.
Hungry to Icarus? Do you think Zeus would bless me with an ego like he blessed you, Cassandra?
Yeah, that's what was kind of put me off being a woman, because I thought when she's got the Spartan armour, I'm just going to look fucking thingy, which is fucking big to be fair.
I'll try to put in a good word for you.
Finally.
So,
I think I've deleted my other save now, so even if I want to switch back to the dude, I can't.
Marcos is looking for you.
What does that weasel want now?
Don't know.
The female has
He wants you to meet him at his new house. On his vineyard.
The story's like pretty similar, I think, to look at it. But it changes depending on your decisions, how you interact with people anyway. There is different endings.
And she is the ancestor of Ezio and Desmond.
No, I think she's the granddaughter of Leonidas. I think.
No, she changes her name into Italian form.
Her name's Cassandra.
But she changes it into a Italian one.
Cassandra's Italian anyway, isn't it? Ish.
I don't know. I don't think it's like after he kills Caesar.
Since when has he had the vineyard?
Yesterday, I think.
So, Marcos, who owes me drachmi, is buying vineyards. With what money?
I don't know.
Where can I find Marcus's new, beautiful...
Basically, you can thingy as though you can like put it on normal, or you can have it on exploration where nothing's on the map. You basically got to find the points, and it don't tell you anything really. You got to explore to find bits.
Well, I guess I owe Marcus a little visit. Thank you, Phoebe.
I'll go tell Marcos you're coming.
I can kill these, or I can let them go, man. I let them go in the first one. I think, should I kill them?
You made a mistake coming here.
I'm gonna kill them. Nice. Oh.
I'll have to go up top to get dressed.
Graphics are stunning on this as well, like in a realistic way. Like Genshin looks good as well, you know what I mean? But yeah, I appreciate both styles though. I like all kinds of graphics in games, to be fair, like even like top down and shit like that. But this just looks like extra realistic, man. It's mad. Yeah. Like the water effects, like I'm looking at the ocean now, and it just looks fucking real. It looks like some postcard shit. I'll try and give you a scale of this island I'm on at the minute as well, and how big the fucking map is.
Let's get this on.
The what, sorry? No, you're right. Yeah. Long day. Whew. Probably about 3:30. Yeah. I was there till about 1:30. Yeah. She fucking grassed on me. She grassed on me. It was in the soft play bit, and she kicks me. So I tell her no, and she like thinks I'm joking. So she did it again, and she was giggling. So I said no, and she did it a third time. So I was like no. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it kind of like shocked her a bit. And she went back to Mum and she was like, Daddy told me no. And I said, you was kicking me. You know what I mean? It was proper little grass. And then Kern says, why was you kicking? And she says, no. And she was just sipping a drink going like this. And I was like, you little shit.
the combo that I'm using right now is lightning, water, and wind combined all together.
Yeah, I don't like wind that much, to be fair. I use electric and fire together quite a bit. I like that combo.
Does electric and fire go well together?
Yeah, if it's a fire enemy and you hit them with electric. It's called overcharge or something, innit? Over something. You know, they're pretty all mixed in, man, I've noticed. As long as you do them in the right order. It's like, I like using, I'll hit them with the water, then hit them with the ice, then hit them with fucking lightning, and then geo. And then off the geo fucking crystal, you can pick the crystal up and it gives you the barrier around you, doesn't it? So you got the protection. And then just go through the cycle again. But I like the freeze because they're just still, do you know what I mean? Once you hit them with a freeze, they're just locked in and you fucking go away on them then, but... Yeah. 10 seconds I've done that. Or something like that. Yeah, I've done it. Do it one of them big dudes. Not the ones with the shields. There's bigger dudes than them that you can freeze, man. I'll probably jump back on in a bit. I'm just having a little play on this at the minute. Yeah, when I jump back on, I'm on this for a little bit, at least an hour. Yeah, I'm gonna try and stay up tonight, so I'll sleep tomorrow. If I'm in tomorrow, no.
Yeah, but I use water, electric, put them together, and then you know the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use that to pull everyone in, so everybody around me has electric damage with water damage.
Yeah.
And then the wind blade as well, it heightens. It just
adds to it.
More damage.
It's good as well, like, because on a lot of games you just run from checkpoint to checkpoint and you don't really take shit in sometimes. Where playing the exploration mode, it kind of forces you to have a look about and probably see shit you want to see.
Just waiting for a chance to perch, were you?
Fast travel to those waypoints. A bit earlier.
This bitch is fit, man. She's giving me a boner, I ain't even gonna lie. She's nice one. She looks real as fuck.
Whatever floats your boat, you know?
It does look real, man. Fuck. I feel like I've got the colour right as well, man. You don't look as turn the colour up on game mode. I think that's what it was. I've said on certain games it looks better down, than other games it looks better up. I'm always fucking playing about with it. Oh, I've not got my bow yet, have I? Shit.
You know, I think I might be able to level up on the characters to 50.
Yeah.
So
You can buy the bits anyway out of that shop, innit? A lot of the bits to ascend. I'm just not bothered really at the minute. Like I said, I don't really need to be too high level at the minute. I'm fighting stuff that's below my level at the minute anyway, so don't really make.
I can do this easily.
You just go to your thingamajig. Is it the stone of the statue 7 or whatever? In that area. You know the one where you level up the stone of the 7 fucking or whatever. It's like a waypoint, a main waypoint. I did it through that, I think. I can't remember if I did a quest before.
Guess this is the vineyard.
Oh man.
Straight ahead.
Yeah, you can, innit? But you have to do it through that fucking thingy. Pisses you off a bit when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you like come across something where you need it. You can't even do it, you got to fucking change it.
There you are. Let's see what you've gotten yourself into this time, Marcus.
Whoa. What the fuck is going on here? What?
Boss, I keep telling you can't do that.
Why? It's my farm. I can plant what I want.
The grapes will die here. All of them.
You have to forget what you know about the past, my friend. Together, we will revolutionize winemaking. Believe me, you will look back on this day. Cassandra, thank the gods. Phoebe found you in time. I can still hear you. I was worried sick. The Cyclops sent his scum to find you. I think they mean you harm.
I wish you would have told me that before they hit me.
What has gone on here, man? Something's tripped out. There's all this like